exchange kind of experiences that you guys are having and experiences that I'm having, you know, which is very interesting. I'm having an interesting journey, and I started this journey at the end of January. So this is like a brand new movement and kind of brand new adventure in my life. And I'm glad that we're kind of on this adventure together, because this is really all an experiment to see what we can do, you know, as citizens to change our government and our culture. You know? So I want to tell you a little bit about Rockford. One of the reasons we worried was we thought that the people there were really angling for a fight, you know, potentially. You don't know because we haven't directly met them. And it turns out, I mean, it was a really moving, beautiful experience for me to meet the people there, because, you know, I don't know what the unemployment rate is in Chicago, but in Rockford it's actually 20%. They're really struggling there. And so these questions that a lot of people have about how do we fix the government, how do we deal with healthcare, these are like really personal issues for people involved, you know. And it's a conservative area, you know, and I think they just feel like they have no voice, people in the coffee party. And so I think they felt really just a sense of urgency and desperation, maybe even despair, that they really wanted a voice, right? And we all do. But I think when you've been unemployed, when you really don't have health care and so on, I don't know how many of you are in that situation, it's like it takes on a different tone altogether, right? And so, one of the things that happened is, the coffee party somehow is just like a magnet for people who really want to make a positive difference. And I don't know if it's with the call for civility. I'm not exact. I mean, I'm a little mystified myself, but it's really attracting, I think, a certain type of people. And it's not necessarily that they're all politically aligned, but it's more like they're kind of morally aligned. If that makes sense, where they are really driven by sort of deeper moral values rather than policy positions. And that's how I feel about the people I'm meeting in the coffee party. We have a moral sense that sometimes it's disconnected from political realities, And I think that the negativity and the rhetoric that we see from the Tea Party and other political, actors really doesn't, feel right at the kind of deeper moral, even spiritual level. That this just doesn't. This is just wrong, and so. So I want to kind of elaborate on that, because it's about feeling like there's something really unjust happening. There's misinformation happening. There's name calling happening. There's just so many things wrong at different levels. But instead of thinking about what's wrong, I want to sort of talk about what we can do, right? What can we do? We have now a growing community. This is completely grassroots, despite what the right-wing bloggers are saying. We're totally independent from any political party organization, and literally, we have no formal relationship with any political party, political figure, organization right now. Completely grassroots. And the fact that we have been able to gather, coming now like almost 250,000 people who identify themselves in some way with the coffee party, both on Facebook and on the website. That's a lot of people, 250,000 people. That could grow into much bigger numbers, right? And so, at some level, this is about people trying to gain power. We have an election coming up in November, right? And so at some level, it's about a group of people potentially organizing and emerging as a block of voters that could impact swing elections in November, right? So that's one level where a lot of people are really wanting to see that happen. Maybe the coffee party could have some impact, right? And people are like, some people are actually studying us. They want to write books about us and so on. They're really following what's happening with the coffee party. And they have all kinds of interpretations. Well, they're independent voters. This is like an emergence of independent voters. These are centrists. No, these are progressives. Like, you know, all kinds of analysis. And you can spend all day arguing of who we are, but we haven't like polled ourselves. We have, you know, we can only speculate about who we are, you know. But I think instead of wondering who we are, I think we can talk about what we can become, right? And so that's much more fruitful. What can we become, right? And so this gets back to kind of what I experienced in Rockford, the moral quality of kind of the Coffee Party chapters and people, and the culture we're trying to create, right? Where we really want political activities to be more in line with our moral values, and our government to be in line with our moral values. Like our country, our community, we've been feeling like there's no place for our moral values in what's happening in the world, you know? And so, I think that that's a really interesting thing that really, it really hit me in Rockford.